Okay, fifth graders, we are going to work on dividing larger numbers with no remainders. We took a little bit of a detour with our LCM and GCF exploration, which is going to help you in the next chapter when we talk about fractions. But we're going to go back to this chapter, which is multiplying and dividing. We have been multiplying in terms of tens, hundreds, thousands. We'll do a little bit of division in the tens, hundreds, thousands. But what your book is going to get into next is dividing larger numbers. And they teach you how to do it with remainders. But remainders are one of Ms. Rios' bigger pet peeves, because by the time you come to sixth grade, I want you to know what those remainders mean. And when we teach remainders, students often don't understand what those remainders mean. So I am going to start with a smaller example, and of course this can go larger, and it will go larger the more we get into it, but I will start again with kind of a smaller numbers to get you used to what we're doing. There is no really new vocabulary that you need to know, so we're going to go right into examples. Okay, example number one. Let's try 83 divided by 15. 83 is my first number. The first number is always the one that goes into my division box. It goes into the house. I call it the house. And what you'll start seeing is in the next chapter is fractions. And fractions are just division, because fractions technically mean pieces of a whole, and division are also pieces or groups. So this fraction, 85 over 15, is the same as this division sentence. This fraction bar that we see normally, it means divide. So if I were to write this as a division sentence, it looks exactly like, oh man, I keep putting 85 instead of, okay, sorry, can you see that? 83 over 15 is the same as this, and it is the same as this. All three of these are exactly the same, written differently. Okay, so there are two ways to not have remainders when you are dividing. And I'm going to show you both ways, and I will use a highlighter just so you can see it a little bit better. But first we're going to start just by dividing. So 15 goes into 83 5 times, which is 5 times 15 is 75. I have 8 left over. And if you were to do this like the book wants you to, you would write 5 remainder 8. I can't tell you how much that hurts me. I can't handle the remainders. So what I'm going to show you now is how to turn it into a decimal or a fraction. Because what this means is that we have 5 groups of 15, which is 75, but we have 8 pieces left over. So I'm going to show you now how we can actually make that into an amount. So first we'll start with fraction. And I'm just going to rewrite this equation that I have up here to show you how to do it. And instead of writing R8, I'm going to take this 8, and that 8 means that I have 8 pieces that I need to make a group of 15. I don't have enough to make another group. I only have 8 of those pieces. So that's going to be my numerator. How many is in my group? We're making groups of 15. So 15 is my denominator. It's an A, my denominator. I have 5 and 18 pieces out of the 15 I need to make another group. I don't have enough for another group. I only have 8 out of the 15 pieces. So 83 divided by 15 is 5 and 8/15. 8 out of the 15 pieces I need to make another group. When we make fractions, we have to make sure that they are in simplest form, and by doing that I need to make sure that there is nothing that goes into 8 and 15 equally. And there's not. 2 goes into 8, 3 goes into 15, 3 does not go into 8, 2 does not go into 15. There's no real way to simplify that. So our answer is 5 and 8 out of 15. Okay, we'll do decimal next. And again, I'm just going to rewrite what we already did. So I have my little 8 down here. And 8/15 and whatever decimal I get over here is going to be the same amount. They equal the same things. They're just showing you how to write it in a different way. Okay? Sometimes we'll ask for it written as a fraction. Sometimes we'll ask for it written as a decimal. So you'll eventually need to know how to do both things. So if I have a remainder here of 8, I know for a fact that 15 cannot go into 8. So I must, first step, put a decimal after the 5. Because I'm going to make a decimal. The second thing I do is add a 0 to the 8. I'm now going after the decimal. I'm looking for a tens place. And in order to find that tens place, I'm going to make this number larger. So it's my point and my 0. Now I can do 15 into 80 because I'm taking a fraction of what I had. 15 goes into 80 the same amount of times. It's going to be 5, which gives us 75. Okay. And then I can keep adding 0 to the remainder. As long as there's a remainder, I can keep adding 0 to it because I have this decimal here. This decimal allows me to do that. 15 into 50 goes 3 times, 45. I can keep adding 0 to my remainder. What I will notice is that this is going to repeat. Because it's going to repeat, I don't need to keep going. I can round it. So this is going to be 5.53. And this 3 repeats so that I put a little bar over the 3. That's not so important for you to know now. It'll be important for you to know next year. But this little bar above the 3 means that my decimal keeps repeating in the 3s. And what you should notice is that 8/15ths should be the same as 0.53. And let's take a look at our calculator to make sure that that is true. So what I will do is I will say 8 divided by 15, because remember, that can also be a division sentence. And you'll see I have 0.53 and the 3 keeps repeating. I'll show you also 83 divided by 15. 5.53 repeating. So there's our answer. We're correct. Those are the 2 ways to not have remainders. And you really need to know this and get used to practicing it, because remainders make me nuts. And this way you know that you have 5 groups and some left over. That's it for our notes. I actually am going to give you a practice problem, and I want you to do the practice problem both ways. And you can come in tomorrow and discuss what you got. You are going to do 60. Wait, let me see. We'll do low numbers again. Let's do 98 divided by 32. And I want it both in fraction and decimal form. See you tomorrow.